Okay, we say today we are going to learn about factors. Okay, Bryce? We're going to learn about factors.
Yes.
Yes. We want to first define what is a factor. A factor, you can take that down, okay? A factor is a number. A factor is a number. A factor is a number which can be divided. A factor is a number which can be divided, into another number. A factor is a number which can be divided into another number, without leaving a remainder. Without leaving a remainder. So a factor is a number which can be divided into another number without leaving a remainder. Okay, an example, let's say I have 10, okay? Let's say I have 10, okay? We want to find out what are the factors of 10. We said a factor is a number which can be divided into another number without leaving a remainder. So a factor will be any number that can divide into 10 and it does not leave a remainder. Do you understand? A factor is a number,
Yes.
any number that can divide into 10 and it must not leave a remainder. Do you think you can give me any number, Price, that you know that can divide into 10 and does not leave a remainder? Any number that you can think about that can divide into 10 and it won't leave a remainder.
5.
5, good. 5 is a factor of 10, okay? So the factors of 10, 5 is a factor of 10. Why? Because 5 can divide into 10 and 5 does not leave a remainder, okay? So a number can have many factors, okay? And when you want to look for a factor of a number, you start from 1, okay? The factor for all numbers is 1. So if you are asked to list the factors of 10, you start from 1, then we come to 2, right? 3 is not a factor because there is a remainder. 4 is not a factor because there is a remainder. Then 5, and then the next factor is 10. Remember that 10 is also a factor of 10 because 10 can divide into 10 and it does not leave a remainder. Okay, so what we're going to do, we are going to list the factors. Let us list the factors of 10. We are going to list them together. So you say 10 equals. When you are listing your factors, you put them in a bracket, okay? A bracket that looks like this. If you cannot do this bracket, you just use a normal bracket. You just use a normal bracket to list them. So we said factors are numbers that can divide into a number and they don't leave a remainder. The first factor for 10, we said is 1, okay? 1 is the first factor for 10. What is our next number, Bryce? Which is a factor for 10? From 1, which number? We are using
2.
2, good. Let's list 2, good. I'm also listing 2. What is our next factor? 3 cannot divide into 10, there's a remainder, right? 4 cannot. So what is our next factor after 2?
Yes. 5.
5, good. Then you list 5. That's
5.
the next factor. Yes, good, Bryce, that is correct. 5 is the next factor. And then the last factor is 10, okay? Because if you say 10 into 10, you get 1, right? So 10 is also a factor of itself because you can divide 10 into 10 and it doesn't leave a remainder. Because we go back to our definition of a factor, which says that a factor is a number that can divide into that number and it doesn't leave a remainder. Okay, so our last number is a 10. When you are done, you close the bracket, okay? When you are done, you close your bracket. So the factors of 10 are 1, 2, 5, and 10. In an exam, you might be asked to list the factors of 10, list the factors of 6, list the factors of 8. This is what will be expected from you. So you write 10 equals, you put your brackets, you list them. Sometimes they might tell you other than 1, okay? They might say leave 1, okay? They may say list other factors other than 1. So if they say other than 1, you might leave the 1 there. Then you start from 2, 5, and 10, okay? All right. When we talk about factors, let's move on to 8. Let's move on to 8. I want us to list together. We're going to do it together. We're going to do it together. We want to list the factors of 8. Okay, Bryce. Which one is our first factor of 8? The first number that I said.
4.
Before 4, there's a number. We start from 1. Whenever you are listing, when we talk about numbers, remember 0 is a number, right? So when you are listing your
Yes.
factors, you should always have a 0 at the back of your head, right? And then you start from 1, 2, as you move on up until you get to 8, and that's where you stop at 8 there. Okay, so let's start from 0. What is our first factor of 8?
0.
Okay, we say 0, we put 0 at the
0.
back of our head. We don't write the 0, we just leave it there. Then we move on. Let's move on.
1.
Until we get 1, good. Let's list our 1. 1 is a factor. What is the next factor for 8? After 1?
2.
2, good. 2 can divide. Remember, don't leave out the fact that we are saying a factor must never leave a remainder, okay? So as we are moving together, we must make sure that that number must not leave a remainder. 2 is good. What is our next factor of 8?
4.
4, good. The reason why we have jumped a 3, because 3 leaves a remainder, okay? So we jump out 3 because it leaves a remainder. We go to 4. After 4, what is our next factor? After 4, when you're listing your
8.
8, and then we close our bracket. Good, Bryce. You are doing very well. You are doing very, very well. So when we close our bracket, our factors for 8 are 1, 2, 4, and 8. Okay. Sometimes you might leave out the 1 because if you say 8 divided by 1, you still get an 8. But if you were not asked to list the 1, you can leave it out. But maybe if they did not ask you to leave it out, you may place it there. Okay. Sometimes they can say list 3 factors of 8. Okay. So as you are listing, make sure that you place all of them. Okay. If you don't know which one they want, you just make sure you put all the factors there because you need your marks there. You don't know which numbers they expect, so you list all the factors. Okay, all right. Now we are going to list factors of 15. Now I want to go beyond the 10 number line. Let's go to 15. We want to list the factors of 15. Remember what I said? When we start with mathematics, we put the 0 at the back of our head. Then we start listing our factors. What could be the first number as we are listing the factors of 15?
1.
1, good, Bryce. We start with our 1. What is our next number? Don't worry. Yes, you can.
5.
5. I can see you put a 5. There is a number that you left there. The 2, yes, it leaves it. Remember, we leave it out. What about the 3? What about 3? 3 is a factor of 15 because if you say 15 divided by 5, you get 3. So when you are listing the factors for 15, 3 comes in as well. So we go to 3, okay? Then after 3, you say the next one is?
5.
Yes, then we put a 5. Is there any other number that can divide into 15 from 5 up to 15? Any other number?
No.
No. So the next one is a what? It's a 15, right? Yes. Remember, we said we are not
Yes.
out the number because that number can also divide into it. So we can place the 15 there at the end, and then we close our bracket. We close our bracket there. I hope you managed to understand the lesson on factors. So when you are talking about factors, we are looking at small numbers that can divide into that number that you have been given, and they must not leave a remainder. The key word is it must not leave a remainder. If you notice that there is a number that can leave a remainder, that number does not become a factor of the given number that you have been that you have in front of you. Okay, all right. So also we want to talk about prime factors. Let's talk about prime factors. Prime factors. Prime is P-R-I, P-R-I, P-R-I-M-E, prime factors. Sometimes when we are listing factors, they might ask for specific factors of a number. Sometimes they can say we want a prime factor, or they can say we want the even number factors, or they can say they want the odd number factors, okay? So the prime factors come from a prime number. A prime number is a number that can only divide itself only. There's no number that can divide into that number other than one. That's a prime number. It's a number that no other number can divide into it other than itself and one. These numbers are, we have one. One is a prime number, it's a prime factor. 3 is a prime factor because there is no other number that can divide into it other than 1. 5 is a prime factor, okay? 7 is a prime factor because there is no other number that can divide into 7 other than 1, okay? Bryce, can you tell me why is 9 not a prime factor? Why am I going to jump 9? Why is 9 not a prime factor?
Because it leaves a remainder.
It leaves a remainder? No. Remember what I said about prime numbers. I said there is no other number that can divide into it other than 1. So if you look at 9, 3 can divide into 9, right? So that number, 9,
Yes.
is a prime factor. But if you look at 7, is there any other number that can divide into 7? There's no other number other than 7 itself. And also, if you look at a number like 11, a number like 11 is a prime factor. Why? Because there is no other number that can divide into 11 other than 11 itself and 1. Okay? Even if you look at a number like 17, 17 is a prime factor because there is no other number that can divide into 17 other than 17 and 1. So when you are listing factors, it is important to take note of what they want. Sometimes they may say, remember, there are many numbers that can divide into a certain number, but sometimes they can say, list the prime factors. So if they say a prime factor, you leave out numbers like 9, which have other numbers that can divide into it, and you are only left with the numbers that are prime factors, which are numbers that can only be divided by 1 and itself only. Okay, I hope you managed to understand today's lesson, Bryce. Did you manage to understand how to list factors?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So I'm going to upload work for you today.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm going to upload work on Google Classroom, okay? Yes, on Google Classroom. Mama is already on Google Classroom. I'm going to upload work for you on Google Classroom that is on factors, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay, so the work that I am going to give you is just like what we're doing now, where I'll say, write the factors of 10, you just open your brackets, you list your numbers, you close your brackets, okay? Make sure that as you are listing your numbers, you start the way we started, where we say we put the 0 at the end there, you start your number line from 1, moving on up to when you get to the end there. And when you're listing your factors, take note of the numbers, don't jump them, unless and if you know that that number leaves a remainder. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
So, Bryce, thank you for being
Yes, ma'am.
our lesson, okay? I'm going to see you again tomorrow. Hope you are going
Yes.
to remember how we did our factors, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, bye, Bryce.
Bye, ma'am.
Bye.